welcome back to the F1 2018 career mode here, guys, and you join me for the jewel in the crown of the Formula 1 calendar, and that is the Monaco Grand Prix. One of the ones that is, of course, the most challenging of the season. If you really don't have the car that's all the way up the pinnacle of the field, you don't really have much of a chance, because overtaking is next to impossible around here. But of course, we always try and make do. Thankfully, it's looking like going to be overcast, but mostly clear. In regards to development, we've caught our way back up with Renault, and Red Bull have slightly pulled ahead of Force India there. So realistically, Red Bull, I mean, as it's been the past few years at Monaco, in the real life season, they have the best package, they have the best car for this circuit, and now it's about how we can push ourselves up the grid. So we're taking a look at it now. We just don't have enough points as of yet, but at some point this weekend we will have enough points for the ultimate chassis weight reduction upgrade. And looking at it here, we're also just shy of the major engine power upgrade. That's the final one for us to get. So bit of a conundrum in regards to what we're going to do first. But obviously after practice and qualifying, we will have enough points to invest into one of those, most definitely. And that will help us out in the long term for this season. Obviously, neither of which are going to be here for Monaco. We have to deal with the hand that we've been dealt. And it's going to be a tough one. This Mercedes, I found it a struggle in low-speed corners. But now you can see we're after practice. We have the resource points available. So we're going to get the major power upgrade. That's going to come into effect from the French Grand Prix. And we will have easily the most powerful engine on the grid, and hopefully be trouncing Force India once again. That's the plan, at least. That should also put us to the best car on the grid. So looking long term. Short term though, it's time for us to get into the Saturday action and qualifying at the Monaco Grand Prix.
Here we are at one of the most difficult circuits on the racing calendar. Welcome to Monaco for today's Formula 1 qualifying.
So here is the end of lap 1. We've got it completely wrong coming out of swimming pool. I think I was pushing just a little bit too hard with the car. So we now come around Anthony Nose on the power, DRS wide open, hot lap mode, and using our highest engine mix. So we come across the line and we do the exact same time as one Brendan Hartley at 109.9. Of course, I wasn't exactly very happy with that, so we've gone out again because that left us P12. Here we go through the swimming pool again, taking it a bit more cautiously into Rascasse, albeit we've gone a bit too deep. Our delta still well up over our previous lap time. It's quite easily up actually as we now come charging down towards the line. It's a 0.6 improvement. It puts us P7. I've still got plenty of fuel left in the car, so what we're going to do is we're going to go for a cool down lap. So I'm just cooling the car down. Instead of pulling into the pits, the tyres have easily got enough in them to do another lap. Here we go. We're winding up for our final lap. So these tyres are going to have done an extra bit on them. They're not going to be great for the race if we improve, but let's go anyway. Maximum attack into Sandivot, braking just before the 15-metre board, using all the curb on the inside, and then charging up the hill towards Massenet. A flick left, a flick right, and then the long left-hander. You just have to wait for the front end to come in and then bring it to the left-hand side for Casino Square. Bring it, avoid the bump, or take it as much as you dare to, and it's the fastest first sector of the session so far. We went deep into the Mirabeau down towards the Lowe's hairpin, taking a bit of curb, but thankfully we keep out of the barrier, then taking quite a lot of curb once again as we head down towards Portier, trying to bring the car in on the power. Avoid the curb on the left-hand side because that will sacrifice your traction as we now head through the tunnel down towards the Nouvelle chicane. We're 4/10 up on our previous braking just after the 100-metre board, utilising all the curb on the inside, getting on the power as soon as you dare. We haven't done it as well as last time, man, so we're just about a quarter of a second up as we come through Tabac, and it's currently on for the fastest lap of the weekend through the swimming pool section. We've tapped the wall though, and we've actually damaged our front wing. Coming into Rascasse, we made up a heap of time because we actually kept it under control. But the understeer through Anthony Notes has cost us. And you see our delta dropping as we cross the line. And it's only P7 at Monaco. That might have cost us. But let's get into the race and see what we can do.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today, though, ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. Through the grid order, Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen and Vettel, Magnussen, the captain, Gasly and Fernando Alonso, Leclerc, Perez, Stoffel Van Dorn and Hartley, Sirotkin, Sainz, Roman Grosjean and Lance Stroll, Hülkenberg and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So we appear to have benefited from the aspect there that one Sergio Perez has got a grid penalty, and of course it is a Red Bull front row lockout. So quite impressive from them. I think they are most definitely going to be, as I said in the build-up, they are going to be the team to beat, and we need to come up with a slightly different strategy because, of course, our Hypersoft tyres have done an additional couple of laps, a cool-down lap, and, of course, the additional quali lap on them. So our Hypers are probably the most worn on the grid. I was trying to take a look at, converting this to a one-stop. I don't think Hypers to Ultras is going to be achievable. So I think we're really going to have to convert it to a Hypers to Super Softs, as of course they will hang on for much longer throughout the race. And it's about, obviously, minimising the time we lose on the Hypersofts at the start of the Grand Prix. If we want this to most definitely be a one-stop race, because track position is the most critical around Monaco about being able to defend our position. But we build with the lights. 5 are on for the Principality, and lights are out away for the Monaco Grand Prix, getting a decent launch, moving immediately to the right-hand side. Alonso tries it on the outside, but he's very early on the brakes, and we've actually dived down the inside of Kevin Magnussen and one of the Ferraris, I believe, of Sebastian Vettel, and we've already got ourselves up into 6th position, and Valtteri Bottas unfortunately appears to have lost a spot to Kimi Raikkonen there. Esteban Ocon in 3rd, and it would appear to still be a Red Bull 1-2 around the streets of Monaco, with Verstappen leading Ricciardo. But we've already gained a couple of positions. That's positive from my perspective. We now just need to crack on for the rest of the afternoon, and yes, you can see Verstappen leads the way as we come through in 6th position, just over a second, or just under a second, sorry, behind Valtteri Bottas. Kevin Magnussen retaining a very solid 7th place there, but you can already see by the end of lap 3 the wear on my tyres. While it's a personal best of a 12.3, I can't keep pace with the leading contingent. Just unfortunately, not a lot of speed. And Sergio Perez way down the field, setting the fastest lap of 1:11.7. We move on to lap 5. You saw the tyre wear briefly. They're not looking too hot, and the front end really doesn't want to turn in. I've started losing time hand over fist to the cars ahead. 2.5 seconds now behind my teammate of Valtteri Bottas. And of course, like I've mentioned, track position is so important. We come through again, 4.8 seconds. It is 2 laps later, so the gap has doubled in a couple of seconds. And that's where I've decided I've had enough, and I need off this set of tyres. So it's going to be a long old afternoon on the Super Softs. We have moved up to 5th though, so it does appear that one of the, I believe one of the Red Bulls, I can't even recall who's made a position there. So I do apologise, but we're in for our pit stop, our one and only of the afternoon, come lap 7. It's been a very quick opening stint here, and we're losing time to cars coming into the pit lane. But here we go, going on to the Super Soft tyres. Ocon had pit the same lap as me. I didn't see what tyres he fit. He's come out of a colossal train headed by a Toro Rosso, and at the back of it is an Alfa Romeo. But then Nico Hülkenberg comes out as well, and it looks as if we're going to have some work to do, because that train of cars is on the ultra soft tyre and won't be pitting for about another 8 to 10 laps. So we've got our work cut out for us this afternoon, and come lap 9 we've already caught the back of Nico Hülkenberg. It's amazing the pace that we have in clear air on fresh tyres. So Hülkenberg's the first one. We're going to shape up the Renault while it's up there in the performance chart, really out of position here at Monaco. We dive down the inside at the Mirabeau. Hulkenberg looking very slow. He's defended the position well on the outside, but we've squirted the throttle, moved to the outside, nearly clout the back of Marcus Ericsson into the Lowe's hairpin, but a perfectly executed move down the inside of Mirabeau, and then able to finalise it at the Lowe's hairpin. That's us up into 14th place. But now we have to try and slice through traffic at Monaco. This is same lap through swimming pool, tucked up behind Marcus Ericsson. He's looking very slow behind Lance Stroll. Is he going to try and leave us some room? Yes, he is. We're going to go down the inside of La Rascasse, very similar to Charles Leclerc in the real-life Monaco Grand Prix. He only got one to work. Can we get more to work this afternoon? Up into 13th place, now tucked up behind the Williams of Lance Stroll, and it looks as if there's a Williams at the head of this train. So Sergei Sorokin currently in 9th place and in the points, but he's causing a bit of a bunch up here through Casino Square. And can we look to make another move down the inside into the Mirabeau? We certainly can. Late on the brakes, we just need to try and avoid hitting Grosjean, which we've done, and we've successfully navigated Lance Stroll. So that's us up into 12th place. But all the time, the cars from the train ahead of me that I would like to be making up time on are going to be pulling away because we're in traffic, they're in clear air. Looks like a McLaren leads the Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo sets the fastest lap. He's been chased down by what would appear to be the Force India of Ocon, and he's ahead of a Ferrari as we dive down the inside of Grosjean once again into Rascasse. I'm sure that he's on the radio saying that was a kamikaze move, and Gunther Steiner is telling him, no, it was a good overtake. If you could just do that yo damn self, you might actually get somewhere in this team. But anyway, Sorokin defending heavily from Sainz up the hill, and Sainz has got him into Massenet. Fantastic move from Carlos Sainz, and we need to not lose time to Sainz, so we need to try and make a move on Sorokin, who goes defensive momentarily into Mirabeau, but thankfully Sainz was far enough ahead. We could be a bit more ballsy on the brakes that time around, and we have successfully navigated through the train of traffic. It's cost us so much time though this afternoon that I don't think we're going to get any better than maybe the 5th or 6th position we were in before the pit stops. But Carlos Sainz is now the car that we need to try and chase down. He's of course going to have much more speed than all the cars in that train because he's actually near the Mercedes in the competitive charts. So, and we're also closing up upon, and you can see here Sainz has caught them. I've sort of caught up to them as well. It appears to be a Toro Rosso. I'm not sure which one. Stoffel Van Dorn in the McLaren, then Sainz and myself. So this is 7th through to 10th going through the swimming pool right now. It's Brendan Hartley at the top of the train. And we're sizing up Sainz here. Can we make a move into Rascasse? Yes, we can. We do tap the back of Van Dorn. I think we've just about got away with that, showing Charles Leclerc that a move on a Renault is possible into Rascasse. We've really sort of owned that. We've made 3 or 4 overtakes there into now. But we're up into 9th. But unfortunately, while we're going through traffic, we're in the high 1-minute 13s where we should be sort of in the mid 1-minute 12s. So we're doing what we can. Unfortunately, like I've said, it's going to be a long afternoon. While I've, supplied some overtaking and made, a perspective of the Monaco Grand Prix perhaps more exciting than you would expect it to be as we dive down the inside of the Mirabeau. Van Dorn keeps his foot in though, and he really squeezes me up against the barrier. No quarter given though. We turn in to Lowe's hairpin. He's clapped the back of our car, but we are through on Van Dorn. That was probably the most aggressive overtake I've had to do so far coming through the whole heap of traffic, but tyres wise, we've been on them for about 7 laps, only at about 10 or 11% worn, and Brendan Hartley is looking very slow here. I think his ultras have gone off, and we're once again going to try and have a look into La Rascasse, and Hartley sees me coming down the inside, and we've finally, some 7 laps later, got through all of the traffic, and finally we can put the hammer down, and that was a 14.3. Now we've been pushing. You can see come the end of lap 17, we're on our own. Hartley has disappeared behind us, still holding up Van Dorn and Sainz, but you can see, look, we crossed the line at the end of lap 17. Alonso is some 10 seconds ahead of me. That's how much time I've lost in the traffic. Alonso on the ultra softs going long. The overcut is so powerful in Monaco that he's disappeared into the distance. That's a position I've now lost in this Grand Prix. So we're now going to have to try and chase down Alonso, but of course my tyres much older than his, and Bottas now in for what appears to be a second pit stop this afternoon, and it was missed unfortunately. I wasn't able to get it in the actual footage, but Esteban Ocon came across a technical issue, and that caused him to be backing up the likes of Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel. And you can see Bottas, the 2-stop hasn't worked for him, because even with all the time we've lost, we've pulled ahead of Valtteri. So his Hypers, Ultras, what the team suggested to me, and I declined, has not worked for Valtteri Bottas. And now, unfortunately, I know I'm strictly speaking number 2 in this team, but this is Monaco, and I'm not going to move out of the way, even though that I'm on the older and harder tyres. I think if we look at championship position-wise, who's number 1 here? So it's now a matter of trying to keep Bottas behind me in the closing stages of this Grand Prix. We're trying to close up to the trainer cars ahead. Ocon still slow, gap to Alonso down to 6.3, but unfortunately we're running out of laps. I'm going to be running out of tyres, which admittedly at this moment aren't too bad, as Vettel, who's clearly way down the field, has set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on a 1:11.4, and Bottas is really closing up on me as Esteban Ocon comes in, so they're probably going to fix whatever issue he's got. So we're up to P5. Unfortunately, that is going to release Raikkonen, the Red Bull, and Fernando Alonso as they battle for second place. I believe Max Verstappen has disappeared into the distance, but now we've got Valtteri Bottas for company, and it's going to be the Mercedes battling it out around the streets of Monaco for 5th position by the look of things as we come into Mirabeau. We've only got 5 seconds to Alonso, but I expect that gap to grow because I just have no pace now. As Ricciardo now released. No, Ricciardo's in the lead. It's Verstappen tucked up ahead of us there. At which point Raikkonen dived in as well at the end of that lap. So we are now up to 4th. So this one-stop strategy has elevated us ahead of Bottas as well as ahead of Ocon and Raikkonen. So it appears to be a Red Bull 1-2. Ricciardo from Verstappen. Alonso in 3rd. Bottas side by side with me now. Into Massenet. Can he hold it on the inside? He can, but what about through Casino Square? We give him no option. We give him a tiny bit of space. But if Bottas had tried to stick it around the outside there, he would have ended up in the wall. And of course, we now have the problem that Sebastian Vettel, no, sorry, Kimi Raikkonen, I keep getting the Ferraris mixed up, I do apologise. Come lap 32, Bottas has backed off of me a little bit because he realised, probably got a word in the ear from the team being like, look, calm it down, we don't want one of you exiting this race. So he's now got a Ferrari for company up behind him, and he didn't really close up on me too much towards the end of the Grand Prix. So tyres are about 40% worn come lap 35. We've dropped off a lot of speed though. You know, you can see Alonso already going through Portier and going to be going down towards the tunnel. He's now 16 seconds ahead of me. And I think, you know, 4th place definitely the best I could do. I don't know why I've been so poor here. The traction at slow corners really was an issue, but Bottas, like you can see, he has dropped off as we come into the final lap of the Grand Prix. We're 20 seconds behind Alonso and we've got 2 seconds to Bottas. So I think the team told him, look, chill it out, we'll take the double points finish. It's not quite going to be as good as Red Bull's haul that they're going to get this afternoon, but at the end of the day, points are points. So it's been an interesting Monaco Grand Prix. Unfortunately, it would appear that coming in really early for those hypers had meant we couldn't build a gap. Daniel Ricciardo, so far ahead in the end, wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Richly deserved, of course, after, you know, the issue that he had in 2018. So he has dominated this Grand Prix, but yeah, we came in so early, but we were losing so much speed on those hypers. We had to come in early, fit the super softs, and then we were just stuck in traffic. And yeah, sure, we got through it, but that traffic was in the 114s, 115s, where we should have been in the 1-minute 12s, you know. So either way, we're coming through now, 20 odd seconds off of a podium. But hey, look, we started 6th and we finished 4th. In fact, no, we started 8th and we finished 4th. So I'll take gaining 4 positions around the streets of Monaco as we come through the final corner. Dump the power. We're going to charge across the line, and it's more points around the streets of Monaco.
Well, that's a disappointing result for sure, but we'll try to bounce back at the next one.
Welcome then to the podium, our top 3 drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
So here we have the final race standings. Daniel Ricciardo wins the Monaco Grand Prix. He even pulled off a 2-stop and was still 23 seconds of his teammate Max Verstappen, who led the early part of the Grand Prix. So you got to wonder what happened with Max for him to fall so far back, and Ricciardo the only man in the 1-minute 10s in the Grand Prix. But yeah, 1-2 for Red Bull, richly deserves them bouncing back. Fernando Alonso did a fantastic job on his strategy, getting from P10 to P3. He really showed that, pushed that McLaren beyond its limits there to be able to get up there. And we got 4th from 8th on the grid. I'm not too upset about that. I was just upset with our speed, and we could have easily been higher up the grid should we have not have broken our front wing in qualifying. Valtteri Bottas got 5th, so I'll take 4th and 5th for Mercedes. I think that's a result that the team needed. But of course, when we're fighting Red Bull in the constructors, it's not really ideal. Kimi Raikkonen 6th for Ferrari, and the only point scorer. Sebastian Vettel was just nowhere. Esteban Ocon, of course, those issues that he had in the midway point of the Grand Prix really cost him some time, and he ended up finishing down in 7th, over a minute off the lead. Then Stoffel Van Dorn got the best of Carlos Sainz in the end, and both of them appeared to get past Brendan Hartley. They finished 8th and 9th in the points. And the final point goes to Sergei Sorokin of Williams. Glad to see my OG team there actually getting a result and sticking a point on the board. So, yeah, not really sure what happened to Sergio Perez. He was down the field early on in the race. Where did he end up finishing? He ended up finishing 15th, just ahead of Sebastian Vettel, both of them getting lapped. So drivers standings wise, Daniel Ricciardo first man to break the 100-point barrier. He is 18 points ahead of me in second, with Esteban Ocon in third, from Verstappen, Perez, Hulkenberg and Bottas down in a seventh. Ferrari really not having a good season, but then when you've got Bottas tied on points with a Hulkenberg, he really needs to pull his finger out if we're going to make a successful challenge in the Constructors' standings. Speaking of the Constructors' standings, Red Bull lead the way, 174 points. They have 50 points to Mercedes. That puts into perspective, if both Red Bulls retired and we got a 1-2, we still would not overtake Red Bull. But what we have done this weekend is overtake Force India. They dropped behind us with 121, and Ferrari a long way back on 67. But of course, Williams picking up their point this season. Let's catch up with Claire.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy?
Cutting my way through the field, it was more like it was just traffic, really. But the car did all right.
You had a close battle today, didn't you?
Pretty close, pretty, aggressive, but, it's good.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
Which one? There were a few bumps and scrapes, but I think, the car definitely held out, and we did all right this weekend.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So there we have the Monaco Grand Prix, guys. It's always, I always used to dread it a few years ago coming to Monaco, because I've never really been too great at the circuit, but I don't know what it is with like any kind of remodelling or the newer games, and maybe even just the newer cars, I suppose, but it's not so bad to drive now. Getting the, I've said it before, but getting like coming out the tunnel, the Nouvelle chicane, and just getting the swimming pool section and then through Rascasse and Anthony Nogue's right, it's just such a satisfying feeling, and being able to fling the car around in qualifying is, powerful around there, really is. But fourth place, better than anticipated, considering our qualifying position only. We could have definitely qualified better, so a lot to take away from this weekend. We definitely need to try and cut in to the Red Bull advantage. Thankfully, our next race is in Canada, and those of you that know and have been watching the career modes for a while, Canada tends to be where things work out for me. It's where we got the first win in the F1 2017 career mode in Season 2, and it's where we got our first win in the 2018 career mode in Season 2 for Force India. So, fingers crossed we can get another win at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. Of course, we have the power advantage over Red Bull there, so realistically speaking, we should be doing a lot better than them around that particular circuit. And of course, we have a massive power upgrade coming for France, and obviously there we tend to do quite well as well. So I'm hoping with the string of form and some of the circuits coming up on the calendar is our opportunity to claw some points back. Definitely for the drivers, because I want to be leading it now that we're in the European season, so I want to be jumping in there, because this, I feel, for me, is my strongest point of the calendar. I tend to drop off at the tail end of the season, and then, of course, Valtteri needs to start performing. So the more and the upgrades we can bring to his car, he can help us in the constructor standings as well. But leave a like if you did enjoy, and comment any feedback down below. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you want to be kept up to date with the content coming to the channel. Make sure you enable those notifications as well. And I will see you all next time.